This is war map attacks on the western flank on the western Zaporizhia side. Russian troops managed to develop an offensive. Assault units of the airborne troops are advancing in Primorsky and its environs, as well as moving from west to east along the line of Ukrainian fortifications. Similar to the actions of the Dnieper group a few months earlier, the Dnieper group with small assault groups successively break through the Ukrainian defenses using previously equipped lines of fortifications. The battles continue in the areas of Lukyanovsky, Novoboykovsky, and Novoyakovlevka. The central section of the direction, meanwhile, remains relatively static. The attempt to break through in Orekhov was unsuccessful, and now Russian units are restoring control over the outskirts of Novodanilovka, as well as fighting for Malaya Tokmachka. Here, the actions are rather of a pinning and distracting nature. The AFU has gathered significant reserves in Orekhov, at the expense of which it held Malaya Tokmachka. It is on these forces that the armed forces of Ukraine will most likely rely in the further defense of Orekhov. On the eastern sector of Zaporizhia, units of the Vostok group of forces resumed the offensive to the north of Gulyaipol. Fighters of the 394th Motor Rifle Regiment liberated Eleno-Konstantinovka, Zhovtnevi/October. As a result, the Russian armed forces not only eliminated the consequences of the attack of the armed forces of Ukraine between Dobropilya and Varvarovka and deprived the AFU of positions on the western bank of Gaichur, but also expanded the breakthrough of the second line of Ukrainian defense in the Zaporizhia region. To Gulyaipol itself, the AFU is still trying to throw in infantry from the side of Zheleznodorozhny. Most likely, this will continue until the units of Vostok begin the assault on the village after advancing on the line of Dorozhenka to Gulyaipol. Taking into account the increasing intensity of the attacks of the volunteer army, Dnieper on the western flank, and probably the ending of the tactical pause of the volunteer army Vostok, the Zaporizhia direction will become increasingly eventful. Offensive from Severodonetsk. On the Slavyansk front, the offensive of Russian troops continues, and there are notable successes west of Severodonetsk. Units of the Russian armed forces are fighting for several populated areas and are gaining ground on the heights south of Severodonetsk. The Russian Defense Ministry announced the liberation of the populated area of Zakotnoy. A flag has been unfurled in its eastern part, but there are also reports of ongoing battles. Clashes continue in the neighboring Ozern. Over the past few weeks, Russian assault units have significantly expanded the zone of control on the line of Platovka, Severodonetsk, advancing on the heights west of the city. Battles continue for Sviato-Pokrovskoye, where the AFU was able to break in from the fields from the south on armored vehicles. Despite the defeat of the armor, Ukrainian formations are bringing in reinforcements and taking shelter in basements, where they are, however, being bombarded with mines. Despite the active counterattacks of the Ukrainian armed forces, the dynamics on the entire front remain generally positive. Russian assault units, thanks in part to the successes of neighbors on the Limansky front, are confidently advancing towards Slavyansk. At the same time, on the Solidar section, this cannot be said yet. Things are not going so well there, and negative trends are only intensifying. The Russian army liberated Zakotnoy and Zhovtneve. Units of the South Group of Forces, as a result of decisive actions, liberated the populated area of Zakotnoye in the Donetsk People's Republic. At the same time, East troops drove the AFU out of the populated area of Zhovtnev in the Zaporizhia region. This was reported in the daily briefing by the Ministry of Defense. Zhovtneve in the video is a village in the Polohivsky district of the Zaporizhia region with a population of about 40 people. In 2016, it was renamed to Yeleno-Konstantinovka. It is located on the right bank of the Gaichur River, 600 meters southwest of Varvarivka, the liberation of which was announced by the Ministry of Defense on December 14, 2025. The village was taken by units of the 394th Regiment of the 127th Motor Rifle Division of the 5th Army. The breakthrough of the motor rifle units allowed to take control of the enemy's defense node with an area of more than 6 square kilometers, over 2 platoons of live forces from the 106th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade, more than 80 units of equipment, and over 15 hexacopters Baba Yaga were destroyed. Eastern Express expanded the bridgehead to the west of the Gaichur River and created prerequisites for further offensive into the areas controlled by the enemy in the Zaporizhia region. Zakotnoy is a village in the Kramatorsk district of the former Donetsk region with a pre-war population of about 550 people. It is located on the bank of the Seversky Donets River, 3 kilometers south of Yampol, on the T-0513 highway which connects the previously liberated Seversk with Red Liman and Slavyansk. The Southerners continue to expand the control zone, driving out enemy units to the northeast of the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration. The nearest targets for the group on this front section are the villages of Ozerne, Krivaya Luka, and Kaleniki. The next line is the line of Old Caravan, Brusovka, Starodubovka, Nikolaevka, and then the suburbs of Slavyansk. Battles near Kupiansk. The situation in the Kupiansk direction remains complex, with the AFU bringing new units into the city. Fierce clashes continue on the bridgehead, and the number of destroyed AFU equipment is growing on systematically targeted crossings. Footage continues to appear online showing Ukrainian formations present on positions north of the city, as well as in the territory of Kupiansk and Kupiansk-Vuzlovi. Russian armed forces' sporadic defense is mainly maintained on the northern and northeastern outskirts of the city. In the central part, the concentration of AFU forces is gradually increasing, judging by the appearance of communication antennas. Russian 203mm artillery continues to work on the Podoli on January 4th. The video released on January 14th was actually filmed about a week ago, according to information. Interesting footage appeared from the vicinity of Stepova Novoselivka, where Russian NRTK operators destroyed a Ukrainian formation's position located 4.5 kilometers east of Pishane. Another UAV control point was eliminated half a kilometer to the south. The battles continue to be extremely heavy and fierce. The AFU has not yet exhausted its reserves and continues to bring forces both into the city and to the left bank in general. There are positive aspects too. Evidence of successful UAV operator work, including from Rubicon, is becoming more frequent, although the group is not in a hurry to abandon embellished reports upward, which brings problems and will clearly continue to do so until next time.